Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to teach you about a second order circuit. A second order circuit is a circuit that contains a resistor and two energy storages, which can either be an inductor or a capacitor. They can come together or they can come as their own. For example, there can be two inductors, or there can be two capacitors, or there can be one inductor and one capacitor. So, why is it called a second order circuit? It is because when we sum the voltages around the loop, it will result in a second order differential equation. So let me show you by what that means. Here is a basic example of a second order circuit. So in this circuit, we have a voltage source on the left, and on the top we have a switch which is still opened, a resistor, an inductor which is written as L, a capital L, and on the right we have a capital C which represents a capacitor. So let me zoom in a little bit. When dealing with a second order circuit, we have to know that there are three states happening. The first step is when t equals 0, or when the switch is still open, meaning that there is no current flowing at all. The second step is what we call an intermediate step, or a transitioning state. This happens when the switch begins to close and the current starts to flow around the circuit. The current will pass through the resistor, the inductor, and will be filled in the capacitor, which derives the next state, which is called the final state. This state happens when the capacitor is fully filled with the current. Alright, so what we want to exactly find is the voltage across the circuit, right? So we have to know three terms. First is the voltage of the resistor, the voltage of the inductor, and finally the voltage of the capacitor. So VR, the voltage of the resistor, is IR here. The VL, the voltage of the inductor, equals to L times di by dt, and VC, the voltage of the capacitor, equals to I divided by C times the integral of I dt. Having known all the three terms, we can sum up all the voltages by using KVL. So the first term is V, of course, which comes from the voltage source, right? So everything up after that has to be in a negative form, right? Because we want to subtract, we absorb the energy from the voltage. So the second term is the voltage of the resistor, which is negative I times R. Third term is negative L times di by dt, which is the voltage of the inductor. And the last term is negative I divided by C times the integral of I dt, which is the voltage of the capacitor. And everything in there must equal to 0. To simplify a little bit, we take the derivative and multiply by -1, which will give us di by dt times R plus L times the second derivative of di and dt, right? Di divided by dt, sorry that there is a typo here. After dt there must be a 2, small 2, indicating that it is a second derivative. Alright, so the third term is plus I divided by C, and all of that is equal to 0. Finally, we divide by L, which will give us the second derivative of I with respect to t, plus R divided by L times di by dt, plus 1 divided by L multiplied with C, and that term has to multiply it with I again. All of these is still equal to 0 according to the Kirchhoff voltage law. So I hope that all the concepts and the general steps in here will help you to adapt in learning the second order circuit and dealing with the more difficult and advanced problems in the future. Thank you very much.